My name is Clara, and I am 32 years old. People tell me I smile a lot, that I carry a certain warmth with me, but they don't know that most of that warmth was borrowed from my father. He shaped me in ways that still echo in every corner of my life. When I was a little girl, I used to wake up not to an alarm clock, not to the chatter of birds outside, but to his voice. My father sang to himself every morning. Never full songs, just little humming, broken lines, or whistles. It was his ritual, as natural as the sun rising. Sometimes, when he thought no one was listening, he would say prayers softly, asking for strength, for health, for his family's safety. I would lie under my blanket, eyes closed, pretending I was still asleep, just to listen. That sound was my first lesson in security, the knowledge that my father was near. Growing up, we didn't have much. Our house was small, tucked at the end of a quiet street, with peeling paint on the porch, and a kitchen table that wobbled no matter how many times my father tightened the screws. But he never let me feel the weight of what we lacked. He had this way of turning every ordinary thing into something golden. On Sunday afternoons, he'd take me for walks. We'd buy one soda from the corner store and share it, passing it back and forth as though it were the most luxurious drink in the world. He'd say, "Clara, life doesn't measure happiness in what we own, it measures it in how we share." Back then, I didn't fully understand, but now those words pierce me. Because now, when I drink anything sweet and cold, I remember his hand passing the bottle to mine, his smile saying more than words ever could. My father wasn't a man of many words. He spoke carefully, deliberately. But when he did, people listened. He taught me more through silence than lectures. When I got a poor grade in school, he didn't scold me immediately. He'd sit quietly at the table, open the paper, and let the silence grow. Then he'd look at me and simply say, "You can do better. I know you can." That quiet trust meant more than hours of shouting. When I cried after a friend betrayed me, he didn't rush to fix it. He just sat beside me, one big hand on my back, steady and warm. That silence taught me that comfort wasn't always in words, it was in presence. I miss that presence more than anything. I didn't know the last day would be the last. Nobody ever does. He was tired that week, I remember. He said it was nothing, just work catching up to him. He still joked, still hummed, but there was a heaviness in his step I'd never noticed before. That morning, before I left for work, I kissed his cheek. He chuckled, embarrassed like he always did, and said, "Clara, you're too old for that." I told him, "I'll never be too old to kiss my dad." Those were my last words to him. That night, the phone rang, and my world split in two, the time before that call and the time after. Grief is not gentle. It doesn't knock politely. It crashes through the door, and leaves the furniture of your soul scattered everywhere. The first weeks after my father's passing were a blur. I couldn't sleep without dreaming of him. I couldn't wake without the crushing reminder that he was gone. People said all the wrong things. He's in a better place, at least he didn't suffer. I know they meant well, but it made me want to scream. I didn't want him in a better place. I wanted him here. The house felt unbearably quiet. No humming, no footsteps, no laughter at the dinner table. Just silence. And suddenly, silence became my enemy. People ask, "What do you miss most?" and I never know how to answer, because I miss everything. I miss the way he'd cut fruit for me and leave it in the fridge with a note. I miss the way he called me kiddo, even when I was in my 20s. I miss the way he smelled faintly of soap and sawdust. I miss the way he walked into a room and it felt steadier, safer. But if I had to choose, I think I miss his belief in me the most. He believed I could do anything, even when I didn't. Without that belief, sometimes I feel small, like a boat without an anchor. Time doesn't heal, not really. It just reshapes the wound. Slowly, I learned to live with the emptiness. I went back to work, I saw friends, I laughed again, but always with a part of me missing. I started writing letters to him. I never sent them anywhere, of course. I just kept a notebook by my bed and filled it with the things I wished I could tell him. How my day went, what I was afraid of, what I accomplished. Writing to him made me feel like he was still listening somehow. I began to notice small things that reminded me of him. A man whistling on the street, the smell of wood in a workshop, a song he loved playing on the radio. I started to collect those moments like treasures, as if they were proof he hadn't left completely. The truth is, I never really lost my father. He lives in me, in the way I pause before I speak, in the way I choose kindness even when it's hard, in the way I believe in others. When I face difficulties, I ask myself, what would Dad do? And the answer is always clear. He would stay steady, stay kind, stay present. That's what I try to do now. For him. For me. For the family that still needs me.